The next undisputed fight we have is July 29th. Spence versus Crawford. We finally got it.
The best sporting event that can be made.
How does Spence deal with Terrence's switch hitting and vice versa? How does Crawford deal with Spence's pressure and body?
That's what is there to find out. The tough thing for Crawford is that Spence has a very high work rate, and we've seen Spence win behind a jab and defense on a world-class level. He's also a real hard hitter, and he's twitchy, and he's very aggressive. So usually Crawford likes to study a guy for a couple rounds, and then he kind of, okay, now I got it, and then he does it. But against Spence, you might have to hurt him or knock him out, because by the you turn around, and if Crawford messes around, he can be down 4-1 after 5 rounds, and not against a guy who's looking to survive, against the guy who's looking to beat you up. On the other hand, Spence also has to worry about the fact that he's been through a lot in his life so far. And Crawford, although he also has been really about boxing for a lot of years now. Usually that guy will have the advantage in the moment of truth. And Crawford's always made adjustments. He's probably the best adjusting fighter in the sport.
But to push back on that, Spence has been through a lot, but have you seen any deterioration in his game overall? Or
Deterioration is hard to say that there's been deterioration. I can't say that. I can't say there's evidence for that. I can say that he hasn't. I'm trying to think of what's Spence's most impressive outing, right?
Maybe Kell Brook.
Kell Brook, because Kell Brook did his best to Kell Brook was coming off an impressive performance, though it was a loss, where he got his face broken, right, in a higher division. But Spence really applied himself very well in that fight. The Sean Porter fight was a modern classic. But then again, Sean Porter, though he was a little fresher at the time, gave Spence a better fight than he gave Crawford.
Do you not put any
Saudi heavyweight tournament?
I think that the Saudi investment fund is sports washing their human rights record, and they've done it in golf and they've done it in boxing for a while now.
Max, let me ask you this, man. I know everybody's pretty much saying that the winner between Spence and Crawford should be pound for pound number one. But what do you think about Inoue and Fulton? Shouldn't that winner be
You could argue.
pound for pound number one?
No. You could say that it depends. Let's see how everybody looks. But Spence and Crawford, whoever wins that fight, especially if it's a great fight, is clearly the best pound for pound fighter in the world. I like Stephen Fulton a lot. He has not proven yet what Spence and Crawford have proven. He just hasn't been around as long at that level. And he's I like Fulton a lot, very well-rounded fighter. I usually like the twitchier guy there, and that is Inoue. He is the kind of explosive athlete guy. But let's see, if Fulton wins, or even if he loses if he acquits himself well, maybe I'll feel differently. But right now, winner of Spence Crawford is.
Matt, what do you think of the performance of Gervonta Davis and Ryan Garcia and the outcome of what happened overall? Gervonta Davis and Ryan Garcia.
Let's leave the rehydration clause and all that stuff alone, because I admire what Ryan Garcia did. What he did was he made that fight. And in fact, I don't think it's a coincidence we see all these fights getting made in boxing now. Because what Garcia showed by example, because he could have milked his following, which is enormous, in easy money fights against guys he could beat forever if he really wanted to do it. It's not who he is. He wants to prove himself. So he made it happen. He gave up everything, not just because Tank is the bigger star, because that was actually debatable before the fight, but because that's what it took to make the fight happen. That said, it was clear in that fight that Tank is just a better fighter. Tank is an underrated, he's a little overrated by people who don't know boxing and underrated by people who do. Because he's a big star and he's a power puncher and all that. He's got a personality, but he's an excellent, very high IQ fighter. He sets traps. His feet are good. He has a bag. His toolbox is deep. And on top of that, he can obviously punch.
Max, thoughts on Joshua against Wilder?